So this is my new talk called The Holy Human, and I'm Beata Van Berk. I'm also known as the Tinfoil Hat Lady. And the reason I'm known as the Tinfoil Hat Lady is on my YouTube channel, well, I didn't know about YouTube in 2007, but I did a little one-woman stand-up show called The Subversive Lecture of Tinfoil Hat Lady. And it was all about 9/11, and it was 27 minutes of pure comedic genius as far as I'm concerned. But it was, and it still is. So you can go and check that out. So the name just kind of stuck. And so I just kept Tinfoil Hat Lady. And then when I realized YouTube was actually your own TV channel, I just started making videos. And that's how it kind of started for me. So right now I have a, a portal called tinfoilhatlady.com. And you can find my Subversive Tinfoil show there, up in the right-hand corner, and also Tinfoil Therapies. So just have to go to tinfoilhatlady.com. My YouTube channel, youtube.com/tinfoilhatlady. And if you have a question in the middle of the night that's burning, you can always email me at, of course, tinfoilhatlady@gmail.com. So, and for people at home watching, you can also email me. Okay. So the Subversive Lecture of Tinfoil Hat Lady is up in the corner there, just so that you remember that that's where it comes from. So today we're going to be talking about the whole human, and I call it the holy human, because when you leave here today, I want you to have an understanding of how powerful and important and capable and beautiful that you are, and that you're much, 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 much more than your physical body. So I'm going to be telling you all about your four bodies, the three ones you don't think about, and these things called chakras that are kind of a mystery. So I'm hoping by the end of today, like I say, that you have a whole different understanding of who you are and how capable you actually are to carry happiness with you. Okay, so that's your personal responsibility. In our culture today, we don't really have a lot of understanding of what personal responsibility is, and I hope to kind of bring that back into the consciousness with this talk, because I really believe that it is your sacred duty to be personally responsible. So we're going to talk about who we are today, because we're not just our mind-body personality complex, but we are eternal spirits, and we're just playing a little virtual reality game right now, okay? And we're going to talk about what chakras are, because we talk about them, but they're not just little dots of color on your body. They actually function to keep your auric field functioning, and that's mostly where you live. And that creates, of course, your energy that you bring into a room, or into your workspace, or into your family. And we're going to talk a little bit about ancient texts. The one I'm most familiar with is the Bible. So I'm going to have a couple of Bible quotes in here that I thought were pretty exciting. And hopefully by the end, you're going to understand why you need to care about this kind of stuff. It really affects your health, and connecting with spirit is something we don't get a chance to do. We kind of take the church and throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, I don't go to church, but I've found there's a lot in the ancient texts that we need to relook at. And I think that we are interpreting them wrong. And today I'm going to show you how a lot of these texts, I think, are talking about love, fear, and the human aura. So let's go. Okay. Who is the boss of you? That's right. You are the boss of you. In fact, you are actually your own guru. And the word guru is spelt G-U-R-U. So again, we're not going to look outside of ourselves, even though we love Trent. He's not the boss of you. And even though you think I'm awesome, I'm not the boss of you. You are the boss of you. And we're just here basically to remind you. And as Linda said earlier, you are sovereign. So that kind of made me laugh when she said that word, because that's something we don't think about. We are always busy trying to please something outside, but really we are sovereign beings in our own right. And there's perceived authority. And to me, this is an illusion, this authority, and it comes and it's born out of this type of mind control that we're all affected by, that we're all waking up to now. And this mind control can come from the media, of course, from our schools, our churches, our families, society, culture, the government, all that good stuff that's outside of us. And we're all affected by it. So really there's only one of us here. We're all just playing a little different tune, but we all have the same mind. So these perceived authorities, to me, Because basically I'm just telling you guys my opinion today, so you don't have to believe it, but I'm just going to share with you how I found things work. Okay, so to me, this mind control and this perceived authority is based totally on fear. And it's backed up by violence. And it allows you to understand yourself as a victim. And I don't think that's healthy. So I think humans are now coming into their own, and that we're rebelling against this mind control that has been on this planet for probably thousands and thousands of years. And we're just now coming to be aware of it and be spiritually strong enough and culturally free enough to even have these discussions. So we're pretty lucky. So again, this perceived authority and mind control is built upon the erroneous and dogmatic belief, right? So what's a belief? Well, the word lie is in the word belief. So you can believe anything. Is it true? We don't know. So I just wanted to point that out. So every time you say you believe something, just remember that the word lie is in there. And your beliefs can change. Your understanding of the universe can change. This is a hologram that we're in, and you're actually in control of that hologram. So we have this belief that some people are our masters, and they might even have a moral right to issue commands to us, and that other people are slaves who have a moral obligation to obey. And this concept is exploited in social ideology. It's very popular nowadays as oppressor-victim. So there always has to be somebody oppressing somebody, and somebody has to be the victim. But to me, to over-identify as a victim is a really slippery slope. I mean, it's good to be aware of injustices in society and work towards clearing those things up, but to actually perceive yourself as a victim all the time is really not healthy. So to over-identify as a victim is the slippery slope away from sacred personal responsibility. And if you are able to get a whiff of that, that's going to lead you to contentment and then ultimately health. All right, any questions? You're good? Okay, we're going to move on. So you are your own guru, G-U-R-U. So infinite love is actually the only truth. Everything else is illusion. And that comes from one of my favorite authors, David Icke. Has anybody heard of David Icke before? Okay. He writes big, thick books like this, but every one of his books are kind of the same in the first half and different in the second half. So it's good to read one of his books one time before you die. So infinite love is the only truth. Everything else is illusion. So again, you are a sovereign. Now, something I really want to press to you guys today is that darkness is an illusion. There's really only light. Even in physics, light creates everything. So what is darkness but the absence of light? So we don't want to empower the darkness. We want to bring the light in. We want to enlighten, right? So we're going to be vigilant against fear, and we're going to align our minds with love. Because it's really easy to go back to fear. And there's a reason for that, because when you're in fear, you're actually a food source for what I call the global adversary. Think about that. If you look at culture, it's kind of set up to make you guys be afraid. Well, why? Nobody does anything that doesn't work for them, so it works for somebody for us to be afraid. And ultimately, I can't go too deep into some of this stuff today, but I'm definitely going to touch on it. That being in fear is a frequency, and that frequency is eaten by what I call the global adversary. So we're going to be prepared to align our minds with love from here on in. So here we are. So we're waking up to realize that we don't need to fear anymore. It was comforting sometimes. Like my mom got a pacemaker yesterday, right? And she was fearful before, but now she has the pacemaker, so she doesn't have to fear that her heart is going to go low. But she's still addicted to that. Oh, what if it happened? Oh, what if it happened? And then her, mind, so we were talking about that yesterday. It's a similar thing. Your neurons get firing on one path, and then you have to challenge those thoughts when they come up and not just play the victim of everything, right? And it takes work. It takes mental work. And then your neurons will make new pathways. So this is my big scary slide, and I'm only going to give this energy one slide, but we had to talk about it. So the world adversary gave us their mind. Okay, so we are all on their frequency. That's how it's been, but we're changing that. We're going to move from the mind which I'll explain later is like the solar plexus chakra, we're going to move up to the heart, which is connected to the spiritual body, which is above the mental body. So we're never mind the lies of the belief systems, because our foundational beliefs are tainted by an inversion of human values. Like, do we even know what our human values are? Sometimes, to me, the world just seems on a real anti-human agenda. Well, where does this come from? This victim idea, this anti-human agenda. I wrote a blog about it at tinfoilhatlady.com called Anti-Humanism, or something that you can look up. Anyways, we call the world adversary by many names. We can call it the establishment, the elite, the cabal, the Illuminati, reptilians, greys, ETs, Anunnaki, the devil, Satan, Lucifer. But I just like to call it the world adversary. These old programs are now failing. So these guys are going down because we're going to cut off their food source, which is fear. All right? Does everybody understand what I'm talking about with this? Okay. All right, so we're not going to talk about them anymore. We're going to talk about being a pro-human. So what does it mean to be pro-human? Well, it's hard to know, right? Because really culture is very anti-human. But I want to say you are more than just a food source for the global adversary. So we have to redefine or finally define human values. A long time ago, we let the church do it, I think. And in individual families, the family unit has been so broken down and the schools have been so changed that our human values even discussed. I mean, basically, we don't even know who we are. Human DNA and the human race is capable of much more than we know, and we are kept in an illusion that we are powerless for a reason. And as you guys know, because you're here, now is the time to wake up. So, what is a shamanic journey? We can call it many things. We can call it your life, from birth to death, and being conscious of what's happening during that time. We can call it a day, from when the sun rises to when the sun sets. We could call it your story, which is your personal experience, which is built out of your choices and out of your responsibilities, whether you fulfill them or whether you blow them off. But your sacred responsibility is to actually walk your walk and to be here and to claim your right and space to be here. People talk a lot about, well, I'm going to hold space. But what does that really mean? What does it mean? Right? So think about that. So when you have your shamanic journey later today, I'm going to be giving you lots of things to think about. So your sacred responsibility is to be authentic, to walk your walk truthfully, and to just be who you are. And you have an ability to contribute or to contaminate. You can bring, we'll call it negative energy into a room, or you could bring positive energy into the room. You can bring fear in, or you can bring love in. Just with your approach. You can change a whole room just by walking in. And to be conscious of your power to be able to do that is really key. Don't play small. Inhabit yourself, because you are a sovereign and you have a right to happiness. That's your right. That's your human right. That's a human value. But it's eroded by the global adversary for whatever reason. Also, your individual connection to the divine universal intelligence is your shamanic journey. And that's the thing we ignore. And that's connected to the spiritual body, which is your least dense but highest vibrating body. Shamanic journey is also your pure right and duty to be here now. So it's not only your right, but it's your sacred duty to other human beings. That's how we support and serve each other, is by being authentic. So we're not lying, right? So we have honest communication and interaction. So your sacred gift is to be authentic and then to model that to others. Your ability to consciously inhabit your spiritual body. And that's a body that we don't think about. We're going to get more into those three bodies and your, what do I call those? Your energy bodies, I guess. So a shamanic path is about relationship and not worship. So you're relating to another human being who's on par with you. We're all on par with each other. Nobody's better or worse than you. We're all equal in that regard. There's really only one of us here. And another blog at tinfoilhatley.com is called Shamanic Human Rights, and I got this little quote from that blog. So by following a shamanic approach, we are creating authentic meaning. We're taking personal power back from the matrix think of our culture, and we're ignoring, seriously, just ignore it, the lies of the TV and basically all media. They're untrustworthy. We're going to start to dig for more meaningful personal truth within ourselves. And by acknowledging all these other realms that we inhabit, that's what makes us powerful. And we can manage effective change as it manifests from the dream world towards us. So when you're in the dream world, it's like you're having a shamanic journey this afternoon, images and visions will come to you. And those are things that you can manifest into the physical. So we want to move forward into our new realms here, molding our environment with the best of human imagination. Anything you imagine can happen. This is a holographic cafe, and you're always making orders to the kitchen. So every thought you have is an order. Oh, yes, I'll have a side of anxiety with my breakfast. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
French vanilla latte.
French vanilla latte anxiety, anybody? Or maybe that's a depression. I'm not sure.
That's for depression.
Could be a depression. But these are things we have control of. And I'll bring my mother up again. She's like, okay, she can't get over the fact that she doesn't have to worry about her heart going low. So then she starts, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? I'm like, Mom, do you want to create another illness? You get invested in being a patient. You get invested in being ill. And then you want to justify, and you want to stay being ill. Because now I don't have to be in my power. Now somebody has to take care of me. Now I don't have to function. Oh yeah, that's better. Yeah, give me a blanket. Yeah, that's good. You know, so we can get into that. I know I had 5 surgeries one time, and I had to really fight to be like, you know what, I'm not going to get sick. You know, I'm going to stop this now. But it took 5 times. So nobody's perfect. Now, there's 3 simple tools on the shamanic path, and we never think about these are really powerful tools that each of us have. So again, you have a lot to offer. These 3 simple tools we just overlook in our daily life, but they are the main powers of the shamanic way, and we must know our power. The first one is what I call love gratitude. So this is a frequency that you can use anytime. You can be grateful to yourself. You can be grateful or love your children. Anywhere in your life you can implement love and gratitude. And that's your first big tool. And I think gratefulness is something that really changes your mind. And you get really frustrated, but then you think, I have hot running water. Like I've been to other countries, they don't have hot running water or indoor plumbing and stuff like that. So you kind of got to back up and go, wait a minute, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my car, like for fruit in the grocery store. A truck brought those eggs and, you know. The next one is seeing and truth. We tend to see things, but then we turn a blind eye. We don't want to get involved. We just let that go. And that can be anything. That can be not being true to yourself, or that could be not helping your neighbor when you know she needs help. Or somebody's in distress and you don't lend a hand, you just keep walking. You can make that choice. But again, you're going to be living in a lie. So seeing what is there. Is. When you are at odds with what is, then that creates stress because you're trying to ignore something. Like you keep walking and your shoes hurt your feet, you know, but you keep wearing those shoes because they're cute. But the truth is, they're hurting you. The third one is blessing and energy. So I do Jikitan Reiki, Gail knows, and energy work is something we can all do. And blessing is something we can all do. And that's a gift that you can give. Now, first thing we learn for blessing is saying grace before your meal. You know, you put your hands over the food, may this food come into the frequency to make my body healthy. That's how I think about grace at the table. And that's a blessing. And you can bless yourself. You can bless your friends. You can bless your flowers. You can bless your enemies. But this is energy. And if you command that energy, then you're responsible for it, and you're not unconscious about your ability. So we're trying to be conscious about our power today. So true shamanic teaching offers the seeker an authentic initiation. So not copying Trent, right? He's not saying, oh, you have to do all these things that just like I do. I don't think you are. No. Because stop if you are. I don't think you are. So not copying teacher, but finding and building on your own personal wisdom. But you got to find it first. You got to give yourself, you got to hold space for yourself to allow yourself to even find that. And then your own personal wisdom comes out, and then you're creating respect for your way. And then you have confidence that this is my way, and I have a right to be here and conduct my life how I feel best, as long as I'm not, hurting people. So there you go. 3 simple tools we forget: love, seeing, and blessing. So in the next little minute, we're going to be using some smudge. So that's like sage. And I hope, is everybody okay with sage? Okay. So healing is all about knowing your power. So again, I'm going to push it on you guys today. You're all very powerful. So to heal the body, we play. So that's anything. Skipping rope, playing a game even. Exercising can be play. With the mind, you heal through laughter, not taking it so seriously. My son was being very nihilistic one afternoon, and I was like, wow, why are you so nihilistic? Like you were born into this world, and you came here for a reason. I'm getting all like this with him. And there's a purpose to your life, Saker, And he looked at me and he said, well, Mom, maybe my purpose is to come here and tell you it's not that serious. Laugh, yeah. And spirit is healed by allowing joy. So joy can be there, but we might not allow ourselves to feel it. Like when my husband left, I said, you can lead a man to bliss, but you can't make him feel it. Same thing. Your spirit wants to feel joy. So you have to allow yourself. You have to allow. So this kind of self-knowledge through healing is your sacred responsibility. The body heals with play, the mind heals with laughter, and the spirit heals with joy. So while Trent is making us all beautiful and sacred, I'll explain what he's doing. We're going to allow joy. So he's doing a smudging ritual, which is performed to correct energy in an environment. Not that we're wrong, but we're going to be cleansing and correcting anything that we need to. So you can smudge a person, you can smudge an environment, you can smudge an object, anything. So this is accomplished by burning sage or sage and a combination of herbs in a focused, intentional way to cleanse out negative energy and to replenish positive, healing energy. So as Trent comes around, feel free to have a little smudge. Lovely. I really like the other thing you can smudge with is Palo Santo, which is the holy wood. My other friend Jade always likes to light the wood, and the smell of that. And you can get it in an incense form as well. I think we're just using white sage today, Trent? Yes. White sage today. Beautiful. So, after you've smudged, if you just want to close your eyes and think about taking conscious breaths. The shortest meditation, my friend Tobias Lars always says, is one full conscious breath. And during this breath, we want to focus on forgiving ourselves. So what you've brought today is past who you were before this day. And we're just going to let all that go. So any anger you have towards yourself for anything, I'm going to go through a few lines here. So sometimes in life, we don't know better, and we take actions that maybe aren't healthy for us, and things happen. So today, I want you to think that you're going to forgive yourself for not knowing better at the time. So with your eyes closed and your conscious breathing, you can say it out loud softly to yourself, or just think it in your head. I forgive myself for not knowing better at the time. I forgive myself for not knowing better at the time. I forgive myself for not knowing better at the time. Now, because I'm talking about your personal power today, you might remember times in your life when you've ignored your personal power or even given your personal power away. But today, we say, I forgive myself for giving away my power. And truly feel that forgiveness. I forgive myself for giving away my power. I forgive myself for giving away my power. Sometimes we've had behaviors in the past that weren't healthy for us. So we're going to forgive ourselves today for any past behaviors that were not positive or healthy for us. I forgive myself for my past behavior. I forgive myself for past behavior. I forgive myself for past behaviors. Sometimes things start for one reason and continue for another. Survival patterns and traits are sometimes created when you're enduring trauma, but they don't serve you any longer. I forgive myself for survival patterns and traits created while I endured trauma. I forgive myself for survival patterns and traits created while I endured trauma. I forgive myself for survival patterns and traits created while I endured trauma. The last one, I forgive myself for being who I needed to be. There might be situations where you made choices to be in a certain way that really upset people, but it was the right choice for you. Or it wasn't a good choice and somebody was trying to talk you out of it, but you did it anyway. Well, I forgive myself for being who I needed to be. I forgive myself for being who I needed to be. As you feel that full forgiveness, just take one more conscious breath and allow yourself to fully feel yourself letting yourself off the hook. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes gently. Go ahead. Well, Linda's going to go to you want to hold it we're going to say something out loud here. How about that? And then you go. Okay. So today we're going to open to loving ourselves first in all our glory and imperfections. Well, why are we going to do this? Well, if we can't love ourselves, we can't fully open to our ability to love others. We can't open to our potential to create in the holographic cafe. So I want you to repeat after me. Today I cultivate self-confidence.
Today I cultivate self-confidence.
Yes, well done. Today I am open-hearted.
Today I am open-hearted.
Lovely. And today I'm going to be kind to self first.
Today I am kind to self first.
Well done. Last one. Today I embrace life. And give yourself a nice hug. Today I embrace life. Beautiful. Well done. Okay, go quick. Linda's going for a quick break. So, what do we even want from our lives? Do we even know what we want? Sometimes people know what they don't want, but they don't always know exactly what they want. If we do figure out what we want, how are we going to get it? These are the puzzles and mysteries of being a human. So I put a couple of words up there that I thought might be something that we want from our lives. I thought maybe peace and happiness, connecting with other humans, having meaning and value, our authenticity, of course, feeling safe, being healthy, having love, being content. But what if we're not fitting into life correctly and we're not able to attain these things? And how can we even tell? Like if you're not fitting into life correctly, there must be some kind of sign, right? I would hope. So I'll just start at the bottom here. So not fitting into life correctly is actually the definition of sin in Aramaic. So sin might not be exactly what you think it is. It's really just you not fitting into life correctly, which is kind of like putting a square peg in a round hole.
In archery, it's about missing the mark.
Missing the mark. There you go. Same thing. So, Linda, you just missed this one. What do we want from our lives? And what if we're not fitting into life correctly, and how can we tell? So we always have to look for the backwards and the forwards. Inversion, anything that's backwards to me, is not healthy. And I'll even call it demonic. It's unhealthy for humans. So think about the word evil. It's just the word live backwards, right? What about devil? Well, it's just the word lived backwards. So take that little tool and always look for inversions. It's very interesting. So again, Linda, sin in Aramaic is not fitting into life correctly.
Well, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Who determines correctness?
Right. Well, it's how you feel. You do. Who's the boss of you, Gail?
I am.
Yeah. So you determine that. If you're not getting peace, happiness, connection, meaning, if you're not getting what you want from your life, you might not be fitting into life correctly. And so that's for you to judge. So in Aramaic, sin just means that. So not fitting into my life correctly or not hitting the mark. But that's for you to judge, not somebody outside of you. So if you're okay not having, whoops, I'm going the wrong way, not having peace, happiness, health, whatever you want, then that's okay, because then you made that choice. Like, so I'm offering you this information. I'm not telling you you have to do it. It's up to you if you want to get what you want from life. If you're unhappy, you might not be fitting into life correctly. Do you get what I'm saying? Okay.
I guess if you're unhappy with your
Unhappy with your unhappiness. You're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Yeah, you have to get,
Strategy.
yeah, you have to get to that point, right? You have to get to that point. So everything is vibration and frequency. Now, I learned this one from Greg Braden. He did some science on love and fear, and he found that love has a really tight sine wave, really narrow, and fear has a big, wide sine wave. So love will actually hit more of your DNA and activate more of your DNA than fear, which is wide. So it's going to run through you and not hit all your DNA. Love is a high frequency, it's a narrow wave. Fear is a low frequency, it's a wide wave, so our DNA is stimulated more by love. And I found this quote, Matthew 7:13. It says, enter through the narrow gate. So enter life with love. For wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. So many people are in fear. So my interpretation of that ancient text is, again, about whether we're running love or we're running fear. Thank you, Greg Braden. So basically, we are technology. Your DNA itself is a type of technology. And your DNA has lineage, and it's been cultivated in a system that exists outside of universal time. So not only are you magnetically focused on your mind, body, personality, I'm Jody Cameron, I live in Saskatoon, but you actually have branches that reach right out into the universe. We just don't always take advantage of that because we're working and we're living in 3D and blah, 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 blah. But you are much, 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 much more than you think you are. So right now, you can close your eyes or not. I just want you to send gratitude to every cell in your body. Just connect with every cell in your body and just send gratitude. Thank you for making my DNA skin suit. Please don't create any diseases. I love you. Feel the love for each cell in your body. And now just ask your body to release anything that is unlike love. Anything that is unlike love can now willfully depart. I don't need you anymore. And that's something that you can do every day or before you go to sleep. Release everything from the body that is unlike love.
May I add something?
Mm-hmm.
With grace and ease.
With grace and ease. We're doing it with grace and ease.
There's a story about it.
It's not, we're not trying too hard. We're letting it flow. So you are a powerful creator. So that means we have to be conscious. Because responsible creating is really mandatory now. Things are manifesting so quick. Your thoughts are manifesting into reality so quick right now that it's really important to be conscious of it. So you're always making these brain waves. The brainwave spectrum divides into 5 bands with different associated states. So we have the delta waves, the deep unconscious intuition and insight. The theta waves, subconscious creativity and deep relaxation, which I think is what you're doing with the drumming for the theta drumming. You'll get that for the shamanic journey. The alpha waves, spacey, dream state, receptive and passive. The beta waves, conscious thought, external focus. Gamma waves, not well understood, but linked to perception and alertness or anxiety. So during successful meditation, a subject typically starts off with the high beta or thinking, and then experiences more alpha, followed by more theta, finally delta, the deepest level. And after some time, we reverse the process and bring you back to beta, feeling awake, refreshed, and sometimes with new insights. So that's what I'm hoping is going to happen for you during the shamanic journeys this afternoon. You are spiritual technology. The healthy human auric field is what we're going for today. And it functions as a whole. Like, I'm going to break it up for you today, but just, I have R plus Y equals O. So think about your red chakra, the root, mixing with the yellow to make the orange. You see what I'm saying? So they're all interconnected. But we're going to chop them up to teach them, but it is actually one whole system. Your 3 subtle bodies, so you have your physical body, your emotional body, your mental body, and your spiritual body, are sewn by the chakra vortexes to the physical. So these are back-to-back vortices. You carry much power and potential at all times. It's almost like you're an electrical being, hey? Power and potential and all that kind of stuff, current. So always being aware, always being responsible, and to understand that you definitely have impact when you go into the world. It's really important to know that. Now, the electromagnetic spectrum is vast, but with our eyeballs, we can only see a really small fraction of it, which is the rainbow. But look at all this other electromagnetic spectrum. What's there that we can't see? I mean, literally, there could be stuff in this room right now that we can't even perceive because we only see the 7 visible colors. And we only hear a very narrow range as well, which is why we don't hear dog whistles. And some people that have color blindness, they can see a little more into infrared or ultraviolet as a sort of extra bonus for not being able to see, the 7 visible colors. So there is a lot more going on than you can see. And it's probably good because we'd be totally distracted if we weren't limited to this magnetic focus. But I just want you to understand that there's stuff around us all the time that we can't see. And sometimes your brain won't let you see things. Your brain only wants you to see things that are a danger to you. Like there was a video on YouTube I watched, and it was two basketball teams. And then one had black shirts, one had white shirts, and you had to count how many times the white shirts passed the basketball to each other. So I'm just focused on the white shirts. Okay, 11. And at the end it said, did you see the gorilla? I'm like, what? Gorilla? Well, the gorilla was black. And he walked through the whole scene. But I wasn't looking for black, I was looking for white. So no, I did not see the gorilla. And that really taught me, like, wow. So we don't always see what's right in front of our face. So who are you? What are you? Bioorganic technology. You're basically made out of light. You're made out of light and you create light. We're throwing photons back and forth all the time. And the photon is the smallest intelligent particle in the universe. So these basic 7 chakras are one whole system, or the holy system. And the subtle bodies surround you, creating your aura. And this is the light, or the information that you hold, because light is actually information. We have barcodes, you know, in the grocery store. Beep, beep. That light is reading the barcode. So your root and your crown connections feed intention and information back and forth to source field, which I call the kitchen of the holographic cafe. So you're always sending your orders out, and then you're rooting down. So you inform and you receive from the source field. So you create your orders for the holographic cafe. So you're always giving and taking, and the universe is always waiting for you to order. The angels are just right there going, what does she want? What does she want? What does she want? What does she want? Or what does he want? Sorry. You know, what do we want? So your feet are the plug-ins, like 2 twin serpents of energy that swim up the chakra system. So this picture is my fingers on my little plasma ball. And what I noticed with my plasma ball is that each little fiber is actually 2 strands. And here I managed to split them onto each of my fingertips. So there's always these twin serpents of energy that are in your body. John Keeley was an inventor in the 1900s, and he showed how ancient Egyptian tools like the Ankh and the Osirian pillar and this rod here, they call it the snake killer sometimes, they're actually energy tools. So like my Ankh wouldn't work for Linda because it's tuned to my biology. And these were things to help the aura stay healthy. But we don't have that understanding, so we think, oh, it was just a key, or it was a scepter or something. But these were actually energy tools that the ancient Egyptians used. So the human auric field is a microcosm of the Earth's auric field and the universe's auric field. So connection to infinite information is possible. That's why people can remote view and go to Mars and go back in time and all this, because it's like we're microcosm, macrocosm. Our geometry is all the same, just at a smaller level. So the human auric field is the same as the Earth, is the same as the universe. So there's no reason for you to worry because you're always hooked up, but you got to use those cords. And here's just another diagram of it. And again, this is like a torus. So your auric field is always feeding back on itself, just as you're always feeding back to the universe. Now, the torus shape is the basic universal shape of existence. You guys saw recently that they took a little picture. It's just this little yellow thing there of the black hole in the middle of our galaxy or something. I thought that was so cool because this blue plasma torus that they created in a lab, it sort of has a similar thing right in the middle. So it just shows you that our galaxy is doing the same thing. It's a torus energy field. And so is your body. So you fit perfectly into life. That's the truth. It's just our mind that screws it up. But your geometry to fit in is perfect. You're set into this life. So, toroidal human auric fields, they interact. You know, you come up to somebody and your field interacts with that other person. Ooh, that person feels okay. Oh, that person doesn't feel good. You know, you get a feeling. And then when you have a history with someone, you've put up pictures inside your auric field. Oh, she was a bitch, you know, putting that up. And then next time you run into her, you go, oh yeah, there's that picture. Yep, bitch. It's probably better if we take all the pictures down and give each other a chance in the now instead of living out of the past, right? So it's now. It's now. It's now. But it's difficult. But really, it's only now all the time. Because there's really no time. The only reason we think there's time is because the Earth is turning around, right? We go night, day, night, day. But what if it was always day? What if the Earth stopped turning? Would the clock stop? Maybe it is only now all the time. These are things I think about. So in order to heal and forgive, we must remove those pictures that we've saved, not just about people, but about certain situations. Oh, I'm not a confident person, because maybe something happened in childhood with another child and made you feel like you weren't confident. and you have that picture still hanging in your auric field. So always think about, why do I have this idea? Why do I have this belief? Why do I have this judgment? So chakras are the connection points between your physical body and your 3 subtle bodies. The chakra vortexes are plugged into the physical body at your glands and your nerve plexus. So your glands and your nerve plexus is where the chakras' tails are. And then they form this back-to-back system that reaches into the layered subtle bodies and sews them to the physical. So this is a diagram just showing you that each chakra is connected to glands and nerve plexus in the body. And the subtle body system is composed of these 3 other bodies. So really you have 4 bodies. At the bottom here we have birth to age 16. Hopefully your physical body is mature by then. And then the emotional body should hopefully, or the unconscious mind, be matured by about age 21. Your mental body should be hopefully mature by mid to late 20s, the conscious mind, mid 30s. And then the spiritual body, most interestingly, isn't really mature till you're about 40. So traditionally, cultures require someone to be about 40 before dedicating to a shamanic path, because then their spiritual body is mature. So the 3 subtle bodies are layered around the physical, and our divine information comes first to the spiritual, then to the mental, and then to the emotional. And if we're not inhabiting our subtle bodies, we might not hear that information. And if we don't hear that information, it's left unprocessed, and then we might become sick. We might not be easy. So we're going to have disease then in the physical body. So you're just like a little Russian nesting doll. That's for you. So here's a better diagram of the snake moving up with these vortexes and the information path. And this is from the book Wheels of Light by Rosalind L. Bruyere, and I brought the book. It's laying over there. So your chakra system connects your physical body to 3 layered subtle bodies, allowing interpretation of environmental data. Well, what do I mean by environmental data? Just everything you encounter. Everything outside of you is environmental data. So we start, the information's coming up the legs. You see it hits the tailbone. That spins it forward. The root spins it out the front, and we get a concept. You conceive of something. Then if the belly chakra is functional and it's spinning, it's going to pull that into the belly, and then we're going to get a feeling. Oh, gut instinct. It's going to move through. The back of the heart will be spinning. If it's functional, then, so the back of the solar plexus, if it's functional, it's going to pull it in. It's going to come out the solar plexus, and that's opinion. And sometimes people, that's your will center. So people's opinions are like right out there. Blah, blah. We kind of spray people from our solar plexus with our mental energy sometimes, right? So our opinions are in our mental body. So that sprays out from the solar plexus, and if the heart is functioning properly, it's another input. So it's coming in, and then we get what I call the second feeling. So instead of just the emotional belly, now we're connected to that spiritual heart, and I call it the sober second thought, the senate of the body. We have the second feeling. Well, I guess I won't punch that person, or whatever it's going to be, the second. And then you're connected to the spiritual chakras. Through the back, if the throat is functioning, it's going to be pulled to the throat. But sometimes, if you can't speak, you're going to get a pain between your shoulder blades. It's just going to pound there because you're not allowing your throat to open. Or if you can't open your heart, same thing. You're going to get like indigestion, or I doused somebody that was depressed one time, and it was just a flat line on the solar plexus because the heart just wasn't pulling at all. Okay, so heart, then into the throat. So the throat, if it's functioning, we're going to be able to respond. And that's your ability to respond, your response ability, which is different than a reaction. A reaction is unconscious. When you're being conscious of this information path, it makes it a little bit easier. So it's like a blueprint for you to process information. So our response, and that's also our first phase of manifestation, because sound creates geometry, it creates form. Later in my talk, we're going to show you some some cymatics, which is the forms that sounds make. Then if our third eye or our brow chakra is functional, it's going to pull it in there, and we're going to get an insight. Oh, I learned something. And then, of course, we're going to whale spout out the head with that release. And that release is in the crown is going to reroute down and reroute new conceptual wisdom for other people to pick up on. So if you process that concept, you are of service just by processing your own concepts. That's all you have to do. You don't have to write books and do it. You can, but really your sacred duty to other human beings is to process your concepts. So we have concept, feeling, opinion, second feeling, response, insight, and release. So there's your two serpents, moving in and out of those chakras, and then they split and reroute down. And then that's your Taurus. Always this biofeedback. So environmental data is processed by the push and the pull of the chakras in the bodies. And that's a fun thing to dowse. You can get a chance later during our break. I have some pendulums over there. You can take turns trying on each other. See if you can find these chakra vortexes. But there's input centers and output centers. So the belly is an input center, the heart is an input center, and the third eye is. And sometimes when things happen, we go, oh, and we instinctively cover those input centers because we're trying to block the incoming information. Sometimes if you're overwhelmed, you just put your hand right here and just block it for a minute. Okay, now I need a break. Or we hold our belly, we hold our heart. Oh, that's terrible, because we don't want that information coming in, so we block the input. Again, solar plexus is out, throat is out, and crown is out. All right, so let's keep going. Oh, I should write here. Concept is also I have, then I feel, opinion is I can, second feeling in the heart is I love, response is I speak, insight is I see, release is I know. So this is the picture from Barbara Ann's book over there, Hands of Light, about dowsing a chakra. So the information on the shape and direction of the spin can show the function of a chakra. Like I said, I have some pendulums over there, so please, on lunch break is when we're going to have time to do that. And then I have the singing bowls there. So if you find a chakra you can't find it, take the singing bowl for that chakra, play it on the person, and just see if you can stimulate that chakra a little bit. It's just kind of a fun thing. And then, again, we can check our symptoms. So in the root, we might be constipated or fatigued. We might feel spacey or unsafe. In the belly chakra, we might be infertile, have painful periods, have low sex drive, creative blocks. Solar plexus, poor digestion, low blood sugar, low self-esteem, lack of willpower. This is very negative. I was wondering whether I should keep this slide in. But just so you understand that each of the chakras can give you symptoms, and it's just really important to be aware of what's happening with your body. So heart disease, lack of empathy, fear of intimacy, that's a big one. Thyroid problems, not able to express feelings when your heart and your mind are disconnected. Headaches, depression, poor intuition, difficulty meditating, bodily discomfort, all these types of things could just be because a chakra is not pulling. When you want to use crystals, sometimes people say, well, what crystal do I need for what chakra? Well, it depends on the color. So for example, the root, if you want to stimulate your root chakra, you use a red crystal. If it's too much stimulation down there, you want to cool it down, you use the opposite color. So it would be green. If somebody's, talking too much, you've met people like that, including me, blah, 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 blah. You want to cool it down with orange, not make it go more with blue. So that's just so you know. You cool or calm a chakra with the opposite color. So now, this is something new for me. I took Spring Forest Qigong and it was verified there. They talk about the yin energy being down here and the yang energy being up here. So I had this download of wow, I think the lower chakras are the feminine aspects and the upper chakras are the masculine aspects. So that kind of goes with that. And that the bridge is where the masculine and feminine would meet. And that's in each of you. I'm not just saying for men and women because we carry all these archetypes. So the root chakra, the belly and the solar plexus are the feminine, And the throat, the brow, and the crown are your masculine. So the root is about self-preservation, connected to the physical body. The belly is about self-gratification, connected to the emotional body. And the solar plexus, self-definition, connected to the mental body. So it's interesting to me that the lower chakras are feminine. And of course, a lot of the subtle bodies are down there. So the mother of us all is our foundation in our own self. Again, macrocosm, microcosm. Everything comes from the feminine aspect. The bridge is the heart, and that's connected to the spiritual body. So that's about self-acceptance. What is. So the goddess Isis, think of her, is. Her son is Horus, and he has one eye. So he just sees what is. He doesn't say, this is bad, this is good. It's what is. He just sees. Up to the masculine. So the bridge is where the feminine and the masculine meet in a nice yin yang kind of thing, if you want to think about it like that. And then we're into the masculine. So the first one is the first phase of manifestation, the throat, that self-expression. And then the brow, self-reflection, and the crown, the self-knowledge, and then rooting down. So those are your self-associations. So the journey is basically from the ego through the heart is the main shamanic journey we talk about. And I always would see these, these statues in India like this, or the Catholic icons like this, and I couldn't figure it out. And why is Jesus' heart on fire? Like, well, what is all that about? I couldn't figure it out. So what I've come to realize in my 55 years is that perhaps some of these ancient spiritual teachings are about the human auric field and about how we function. So that's how I've interpreted it. So all this stuff, you can take it or leave it, but I really feel like it's good information. So the flaming, compassionate heart can burn away the solar plexus ego, allowing access to the upper spiritual chakras. The truthful throat, the first phase of manifestation, responsibility, ability to respond. Then to the inside of the third eye, and the holy grail of release through the crown as our cups run over. So that's how I interpret those Christian teachings. And you can see Mary's doing the same thing, and Jesus is doing the same thing. So that's how I interpret that. So again, we have to keep our robes clean. When I was in Sunday school, I always would hear that. Keep your robes clean for the day of Christ's return. And I was like, well, why does Jesus want me to do laundry? Like, I couldn't figure it out. And I have a new blog called Jesus and Laundry, all about that. So you can look that up at tinfoilhatlady.com. But it's vitally important that you keep your field functional and clear and strong, or your spiritual clothing clean. And this is how we stay honest, powerful, healthy, and vibrant. So you can see the spiritual body, the mental body, the emotional body, and you can see a chakra open and a chakra closed. And this image is from Barbara Ann Brennan's book, Hands of Light. Again, they're over there if you need to have a look at them. So the physical body, the slowest vibration, the most dense. It's about self-preservation. And this is our physical home, our car, our consciousness drives in this lifetime. The emotional body, self-gratification. This is where sympathy is. This is where our gut instinct is. This is our animal nature. This is culture. The matrix is really good at manipulating and programming our emotions. So I have a little calculation here. Emotion plus thought equals feeling. So think about if you change the emotion, you change the feeling. If you change the thought, you change the feeling. But this is the place that they hook into you first. Don't you want to be a good person? Don't you want to help everybody in the world besides yourself? So watch for that, those messages that you get to twist you emotionally. Just be aware of that. We do it with each other too. Got a question?
When you say matures at 21,
right.
Do you mean...
Hopefully you're emotionally stable by that point. Yeah. That's what I mean. Do you remember the other one that had all the maturities? Yeah, so I'm saying that by 21, hopefully you have a handle on your emotional body. Like children don't.
Right.
right? They have temper tantrums and do all this kind of stuff. Self-gratification, right? So if you can delay gratification, that's maturity, right? So mental body is connected with empathy. I'm going to talk later about the differences between sympathy, empathy, and compassion, but just so you know where they start. So the mental body is how you define yourself. Reason, again, culture is here. Intellect, the main thing is ego that's in the mental body. It's clever. It's not wise like the heart. But it's very creative. And most of us live here. In fact, our culture and our society don't want you to go any higher than this. This is it. This is like as high as they want you to go. They just want you to be understanding in your mental body. They do not want you to go to your spiritual body. They want to keep you below the heart. They want to keep you. There you go. We're getting there. Yeah, exactly. So again, my little calculation, thought plus emotion equals feeling. So change the emotion, change the feeling, or change the thought, change the feeling. And this place is really hacked by the global adversary. So your mental body is completely hacked by them. We're going to bring our minds back. So where we want to go, what is the goal today? The goal is to get command of our spiritual body, which is our highest functioning body. And it's self-acceptance. So you accept you're the boss of yourself. And what are the implications of accepting you're the boss of yourself? I mean, that's a lot. But this is where compassion lies. This is where we trust ourselves. This is where we get inspiration, divine wisdom, authenticity, and sovereignty, Linda. Sovereignty. And hopefully this is going to be mature by 38 to 40. So again, spiritual body is our feelings. And our feelings will change if we change the emotion or the thoughts. Feelings are going to lead to our intuition and then to discernment. So that's compassion. So this system that I've just sort of described here creates your aura, or what we call your vibe, right? Everybody's heard of somebody's vibes being bad or good or whatever. So that's what it is. There's also a thing called vibrational levels of consciousness. And I learned this from a book by Robert A. Monroe. And he did a lot of out-of-body experience research. He wrote a book called Far Journeys. And it was very interesting to find this out. I thought it really related to the chakras. He found that plant consciousness is like, okay, how can I put this now? He has 4 levels, but each level has 7 frequencies within it. So each level has 7 consciousness frequencies, and they correlate with the first 4 chakras and subtle bodies: sympathy, empathy, and compassion. So plants, we're going to say, are 1 to 7. So maybe LJ to Venus flytrap or something like that, right? That's connected with the root chakra. I thought was cool because plants have roots and connected to your physical body. Then moving up to the animals, consciousness of animals, 8 to 14, connected to the belly, the gut, again, animal instinct, emotional body, and sympathy. The humans are 15 to 21, connected with the solar plexus or the mental body, ego, which is empathy in our breakdown. The death bridge, he calls it, I connect to the heart, and that's 22 to 29. So the spiritual body or astral or compassion. And then he says you can reincarnate here or move past 29 to become ethereal. So I don't want it to confuse you, but I just thought it was kind of interesting that these vibrational levels of consciousness, to me, are kind of like the chakra system and the subtle bodies. So in the spiral here, just think of the plants in the middle, 1 to 7, and then 8 to 14 animals. Now you think about shape-shifting. In traditional culture, there's a thing about shape-shifting. Interesting. Well, if a human is vibrating at 15, that's a lower frequency. We might say, oh, what an animal that person is. However, they might want to shape-shift down to animal. And it might be, you have to get your consciousness down there if you want to do a shape-shifting thing. Would you say that's true, Trent? Not that he's shape-shifting all the time, but,
Only now and then.
Only now and then. But if you're vibrating at a human 21, then you have more access to your spiritual guidance. So that's just a little extra information that you probably didn't need. Okay, the emotional guidance scale, really important. So that's the human. We're just going to go 15 to 21. So the 7 ranges of vibrational consciousness we can choose to create and inhabit. Well, what's the highest one? Joy, up by the yellow here. Okay? Well, What's the beginning of the downward spiral? How am I going to know if I'm not fitting into life correctly? It starts with boredom. I'll tell you that right now. And I just watched Super Nanny, and this mother had 3 triplets, and the kids were getting bored, and then they were making trouble because she wasn't giving them enough activities, right? So as soon as you have boredom, that's the start of the downward spiral. Boredom, pessimism, frustration, you're overwhelmed, you're disappointed, doubt, worry, blame, discouragement, anger, revenge, hatred, rage, jealousy, insecurity. Now I'm a victim, now I have grief. Yes?
I just have a quick question about the fitting into life correctly.
Right.
Is that just sort of like for each individual?
Yes.
That will look different in terms of like following our joy and what's right for us? Is that kind of what you mean?
Exactly. Like remember when Gail asked, well, who decides whether you're fitting into life correctly or not? You, because you're the boss of you. You are your own guru. Right. That's the time we're in now. We're not looking out for gurus anymore. We're accepting ourselves and we're moving to the heart. We're not in fear that we're wrong anymore. We're into self-acceptance. But we've been manipulated through that fear to stay low. Now we have an opportunity to go up because the earth is moving through an area of space that has more light. That's why they're trying to block the sun out and stuff all the time in the chemtrails and stuff, because that is information and it's feeding into your DNA, and we're going to go, hey, we don't need this. We don't need this matrix system. Like, we're waking up out of it. And that's what they don't want. We're moving into our hearts. All right, so you get these spirals. So contentment is one up from boredom. And then you're hopeful, and then you're optimistic, and then you have positive expectations, and you're enthusiastic, and you have passion, and then you're empowered, and you have love and appreciation and joy. So as soon as you're bored, that's where it starts, okay? That's where you're in trouble. Your shadow self. We don't want to talk about it, but yeah, we have to, because it's all about you. You are the boss. So don't play the victim. So you come from love. When we incarnate here, we come from a place that's pure love. And that place, our home, is not a duality. It's not a binary system like this system is. So when we're born into here, we have to accept our binary component, which is our shadow self. And it's for you. Think of Peter Pan sewing his shadow on. You know? You have to come in with that shadow self to be able to function in 3D. So it's specific for your soul. But when you're not here, we're in love. But here, we're trying to make it love, right? Like, so we have to deal with that shadow self. So this shadow or fear component allows freedom of choice, because this is a free will zone. There's not a lot of free will zones in the universe, apparently. So we're very powerful. We create all that is not love in the 3D holographic cafe. We create all that is not love. Think about that. Humans are ultimately responsible for creating everything unlike love. We create it. Personal responsibility is the key. Authenticity, honesty, and awareness. You are always surrounded by your spiritual helpers, and you are loved beyond words. Love and accept, and be responsible for your shadow self. So don't be the victim of your shadow self, just how can I put it? Observe, and don't play the victim of yourself. So you can love that shadow self. You can offer it love. You can allow it to be content. But if the shadow self gets bored, might be poking things with sticks. And what happens? Well, then we're contaminating, or we're contributing with our vibe. And again, this is an image from Barbara Ann Brennan's book, Hands of Light, which is over there. So we have different auric fields. We have the porcupine. We have somebody withdrawing. We have somebody that's beside themselves. We have verbal denial. We have oral sucking. We have hooking, mental grasping. We have tentacles. I love this one, silent, obvious brooding. That's very manipulative. Verbal arrows. We have combos. Hysteria. And we have a nice boundary containment, which is really what we're going for. And then we have a power display, which would be that solar plexus just busting out, right, with your will. So consider the description and information path for nuance here. So this is where when a concept is fully processed, one gains an understanding. So that means we're standing under a fully processed concept. So once it's released through the crown and your cup runs over, new conceptual wisdom is rerouted for others to pick up on and process. And this is how we can truly be of service. Because then we're always getting a higher functioning or higher frequency of a concept to process. So again, root is self-preservation, belly self-gratification, solar plexus self-definition, self-acceptance in the heart. That's the main one. And then we're free to express and reflect and gain knowledge. Now, Ephesians 6:10-18. When I found this, I thought this is amazing. The armor of God. Well, what would that be? Is it really a suit of armor? I don't think so. But I'm thinking it might be your auric field, your healthy, functioning auric field. So I'm going to read this. Now, it's archaic language, but I think we can kind of extrapolate to the aura. So put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil, which is lived spelt backwards. This is an important line. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. We're not dealing with physical bodies here, but we are wrestling against the rulers, against the authorities, and against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in heavenly places. So again, that's inversion. Evil is live backwards. So the spiritual forces of evil in heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and have done all to stand firm. Stand, therefore, having fastened on the belt of truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and for shoes, it's the gospel of peace. In all circumstances, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming darts of the evil one, because they're always throwing darts at you. Flaming darts of the evil one, and take the helmet of salvation, which is right thinking, and the sword of spirit, which is the word of God, and praying at all times. So again, watching your thoughts, keeping your thoughts on what you want, not what you don't want. Because sometimes people, oh, I don't have enough money. Oh, I don't have enough money. Oh, I don't have enough money. Well, then guess what? You're not going to have enough money. Because that's what you just ordered up. But if you imagine your wallet full of $1,000 bills, and how would that make you feel? And indulge in that feeling, that's probably going to get you more money. So to that end, keep alert. And with all perseverance, make supplication for all the saints. So I was kind of excited when I saw that, because I thought, wow, that's the healthy auric field. So now we have a 5-minute break, and if you have any questions, please shout them out. Welcome back, people. So the second half is going to be hopefully a little bit shorter. We're going to have another 5-minute break, though. So this next section I'd like to call sympathy, empathy, and compassion. And this is one of the really most important teachings I give, because there is a difference between sympathy, empathy, and compassion. Does anybody have any comments on that? Do you think that's true, or think it's true? Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to explain what my theory on this is. So as we talked about earlier, sympathy is connected with the belly or the emotional body, and empathy I connect with the solar plexus or the mental body. Now, when we're communicating with each other, we're always throwing hook lines. We're throwing them, and we're also receiving throws from other people. So we aim at people, and then we receive, consciously or unconsciously. And I call these hookups. But people get into habits as to how they choose to throw and receive the lines. So for example, across the bottom there, you can see sympathy being the belly chakra, the two lines going back and forth here, orange to orange. So we're communicating belly chakra to belly chakra, and that's emotion. So sympathy, it basically, you're saying, oh, I feel your problem. I can feel your problem. let me solve it because you can't. And I'm going to give you pity. I'm pitying you. So this second to second, it just kind of sticks there, going back and forth, and it creates this sort of emotional exhaustion when you're using too much sympathy. So empathy, it's a similar kind of thing. Now, I'm not saying don't ever be sympathetic, but you should be moving quickly past these things. What happens is we get stuck in sympathy. So empathy is good. It starts down here. Somebody's thrown a hook. This person's going to be empathetic now, so they're going to throw it back through the solar plexus. And they're creating a little cycle down there with empathy. And empathy says, I feel your problem, the same as sympathy, but I want to validate you about it. So I'm going to project it back to you to show that I understand your problem. So we have a second to second projected back through the third chakra. Now this is confusing. So it confuses ownership of whose problem this actually is. And again, you get exhaustion from that. So these are habits that we get into. We can change it. The most effective thing to use is compassion. That's the most healthy thing to use. Let me put it that way. So consciously taking responsibility for where you aim your hook lines and where you receive your hook lines, because you get into a habit of receiving it in the belly or into a habit of receiving it in the solar plexus. We want to have heart-to-heart communication. So we want to be aiming at people's hearts and we want to receive those communications in the heart. So somebody aims at your belly or your solar plexus, you take it in the heart. You don't allow that. So compassion, again, I feel your problem, but I am confident, knowing the laws of energy, that you can solve your problem. So it's basically, I believe in you. You got this. You can do it. Rather than, oh, poor you. It's different. So you can say to the person, your problems are created out of your own energy. So because you control your own energy, you can solve this problem. Basically, it's very simple. I believe in you. I know you can deal with this. It's support.
Where did you get your definitions of? Because I don't agree with those.
I made it up.
That's just
Yeah, this whole thing is made up. I made up this whole thing. If it's not my idea, I tell you it's who it's from. So what are you having a problem with?
Totally. I don't think sympathy is saying that you are going to solve their problems. To me, sympathy is...
Let's go back there so we can see.
I'm sorry for what you're going through. I can't understand it because I've never been through it, but
So you're sorry.
I feel for you because you're...
So you feel pity?
No.
You don't feel pity. So what do you mean when you feel sorry for somebody?
I feel they're going through something, and it's just like you go through things at your own rate. It's you
Right.
go through it.
Right?
It's it's just like
So why is that not compassion?
is
What you're describing right now.
It is compassion,
Right.
but compassion is different. But I don't like how you're saying sympathy is
Let's go back.
I'll solve everything for you.
Right. Okay. Well, it's an emotional place you're coming from. Sympathy is an emotional place. So I'm kind of get you to no. So I'm just teaching it like compassion is a spiritual thing. So my goal today is to get you to function from your spiritual body, not your mental body, your emotional body.
Because to me, compassion is also emotional.
Sure. But we don't want to be using that tool because what happens is then we get confused of ownership. And this is how we create drama with other people. Because then we want to get something from them for that. But with compassion, you can have boundary containment without getting too involved. It's like you keep people at arm's distance for health. Because like, say you're trying to save somebody who's drowning. They will drown you unless you give them a stick and keep them at arm's length. That's the analogy I'm going to use with it.
Break their nose, knock them out, and haul them to the shore.
Okay, Trent.
Sorry, military training.
Military training. So my goal is for people to have healthy communication. I'm not saying you can't be sympathetic, but that emotions, where sympathy, I tend to say sympathy is, emotions need to move quickly through the body And we tend to hang on to that and then stay there. And then people have that relationship of just belly to belly. So it's not really something that's up in the spiritual bodies where people can actually process and release that and solve it. They tend to want to be a victim of that and stay down there. So when you're too sympathetic with somebody, you get over involved, is what I'm trying to say. We don't want to be over emotionally involved or over mentally involved. You want to be spiritually involved with somebody and use compassion. So that's just how, you can disagree, totally. But do you understand how you can create drama and have sticky situations where you don't know where you end and somebody else begins?
Not in me, no.
Okay, good. Well, that's good. But a lot of people have these difficulties and they lose themselves in relationship because they're overly empathetic and overly sympathetic. Right, and not everybody has. So I just use this as a simple technique to ally the emotional body, the mental body. We want to come from the heart, which is compassion. Sorry, you have a question?
I was just going to say, does it also have to do with vibration? Because sympathy is one vibration.
Right.
Empathy is another.
Exactly.
Compassion is another.
Exactly. So to me, sympathy resonates with an emotion, empathy resonates in the mental body, and to me, compassion is the strongest tool to use. You can still use those other tools, but to me, it's just going to be more effective and keep you more healthy and be more effective for the other person if you give them your belief in them and not, oh, poor you. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear they can function, ultimately. Some people want to play the victim, though, and that's what they want to hear from you. So that's why they're going to throw their hooks to get that sympathy and empathy from you, because they want to play the victim of a circumstance. So your job is to help somebody with compassion. Say, you got this. I believe you can solve your own problem.
Question.
Yes, question.
I think something that I've read and learned that maybe lines up really well with what you're saying is that it's from Zen teachings, and love, you can have sympathy and empathy, and it's about love, but it defines compassion as love plus meditation. So getting to that, what you're saying, that spiritual, because love is kind of in the middle, and then you have below, and then compassion is
Sure.
transcendent.
Exactly. We just want to be coming from the spiritual body at all times. I mean, we still have to inhabit those other bodies and be aware of them, but our highest function is through the spiritual body. So we want to be careful where we're aiming at other people, so we're not trying to manipulate other people, and where we're receiving, so we're not going to play the victim. Okay? So, fear and love. We're going to embrace life. How can I tell what is fear and what is love? How can I tell if I'm fitting into life correctly? Well, a fear feeling is going to contract. So if you feel any contraction, which is a negative feminine paralysis, that's fear. Love is a why. You know, it's like, oh, expansion. You're feeling expanding. So if they call you, do you want to work today? And you go, oh, no. If they go, you want to work today? Yeah, I do actually. So we all know the answer, right? If we feel wide, that's a love feeling. If we're feeling contracted, that's a fear feeling. So these two basic motivating forces are fear and love. And when we're afraid, we pull back from life. And when we're in love, we open to all that life has to offer. So we need to learn to love ourselves first. Because if we can't love ourselves first, we can't fully open to our ability to love others and our potential to create. Evolution and all hopes for a better world rest in the fearlessness and open-hearted vision of people who embrace life. And that's a quote from John Lennon. I didn't make that one up. He did. That's right. So love self in all its glory and imperfection. Well, what does it mean? It means I love myself for not loving myself. Start there. I love myself for procrastinating. I love myself for feeling depressed. I love myself for not working out today. I love myself for not doing the dishes and feeling guilty about it. Or I love myself for walking today. I love myself for showing up today. I love myself because I am a child of the divine, Carla, and I deserve it. I love myself for saying no. I love myself for saying yes. I love myself for loving myself. So you can always love yourself. That's my point. So I also have 3 thoughts that bring me peace that I want to share with you. And the first one is that rejection is actually God's protection. Or if you want to say the universe's protection. Rejection is protection. What is for me will not go past me. So I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to be in worry that life is going to pass me by, because I fit perfectly into life and I'm in the flow with life. So what is for me will never pass me by. There are no mistakes, only wisdom collection opportunity. And the source field is your supply. So those are 3 thoughts to bring you some peace if you ever lose it. So light or no light, healthy or unhealthy? Replace the term darkness with no light. So I really believe that everything is made out of light, and I think that darkness is kind of a misnomer. Light moves into no light and dispels it. Light and no light are not opposites, but negations of each other. One cannot be where the other is. So lack of light and light is really all there is. Again, darkness is a misnomer. Light is expansive. It's a purifier. It renews. It's a victor. And it's for health. No light, again, contraction, decay, death, victim mentality, it's unhealthy. So you want to be enlightened. You always want to be using your light and that information that you innately have through your DNA technology. So light naturally flows and dances. Oh, wait. The matrix wants you to believe, this is the important point. The matrix wants you to believe, or the global adversary wants you to believe, that unhealthy is stronger than healthy, because they're always making you be afraid of the dark. But I'm telling you, if there's a room, and it's a lighted room, and there's a door to a dark space, and you open that door, does the darkness come out and swallow up the light? No. So we're trained to think that the darkness is more powerful than light. It's not gonna. The light is gonna go into that darkness. But the matrix wants you to believe it's unhealthy, that unhealthy is stronger than healthy, that darkness is stronger than light, that you are too weak to be well, that the dark is actually real. It's an inversion. So light naturally dances and flows according to conscious intent. So where do you want to intend things to go? It comes from inside you. It's intention. We want that yin-yang homeostasis is the goal of that. So replacing the term darkness with no light. Now, this is the exciting part. So healthy and unhealthy aspects of chakras. So the healthy aspects are dynamic, flowing, and expanded, and the unhealthy are stagnant, static, and contracted. So the unhealthy root, I call it the victim. Needs are not met, not nurtured, threatened, hurt, lust obsessed, reactionary, violent, unconscious rage, rough, no home, no concept, shallow roots. You might find even more words that you can describe victim with. Physically, it's so P, E, M, and S. These are our bodies. So physically, it's a sexual dysfunction, perhaps. Emotionally, it's crass or complaining. Mentally, it's unstable, and spiritually insecure. So the healthy root would be a mother archetype. Needs are met, nurtured, cared for, protected, grounded. There's a home. It's a cave in the earth, the foundation of one's being, concepts and deep roots. So we have physical, sexual health, emotional comfort, mental stability, and spiritual security. And I just made all this up. So if you don't like it, replace it with your own words. Unhealthy belly. That would be the martyr. So again, now we're into the emotions. Okay, so unhealthy emotional body as well. The martyr, unwell, half-hearted, put upon, displeased, hateful, frigid, cold, unfeeling, indifferent, inactive, unhappy, dull, inability to receive pleasure. Inability to receive pleasure, stingy, rude, self-rejection. So physically it's sterile, emotionally it's depressed, mentally it's uncreative, and spiritually it's apathetic. The healthy belly, the Empress and the Emperor, It's well-being. So this is healthy emotion. Pleasure, ability to receive it. Peace, our feelings, instincts, and emotions. Graciousness, generosity, warmth, self-acceptance. Physical reproduction, emotional joy, mental creativity, and spiritual enthusiasm. So now we have the root, the belly. So we're going to move up to the mental body or the solar plexus. So the unhealthy solar plexus is the sad servant, no self-worth, fear, anxiety, introversion, may live in the past, doesn't have an opinion, powerless, can't adapt, incapable of being sovereign, doesn't learn, enslaved. And that's where the global adversary wants you, in the mental body, unhealthy. So we have physical indigestion, emotional contraction, mental powerlessness, and spiritual decay. And that's what the global adversary wants. So we're going to fight back with our happy solar plexus, the happy warrior, the healthy solar plexus, the happy warrior. And I found this little Lego guy, and he's so cute. And he goes with my Armour of God thing too, so that worked out. So personal power. So we're talking about the good solar plexus, the will, personal power, self-worth, opinion, the healthy ego, capable, sovereign, adaptable, free, able to learn. So physical, we can digest. Emotionally, we can expand. Mentally, we're powerful. And spiritually, we can grow. Now, we're going to the bridge. The unhealthy heart. Now, a lot of us know this one. I call it the fake or the actor. And remember, the love you withhold is the pain that you're going to end up carrying. So, takes love, withholds love, abandons. Inner child is unacknowledged, fears the future, refuses to direct healing energy. Remember we talked about our tools and one of them was using energy to heal? Refuses to direct healing energy. Uncaring, rejects, conditional love, dispassionate. So physical constriction, emotional indifference, mental disinterest, spiritually uncommitted. The healthy heart, the true lover, gives and receives love, defends, embraces the future, willing to direct life-giving healing energy, passionate, tender, the inner child is acknowledged, unconditional love, compassion. So physically we have circulation, emotional love, mental passion, and spiritual devotion. Moving up to the throat. The unhealthy throat is the silent child. It's that unconscious brooding thing. No communication. Throat is shut down. Won't manifest a thing. Heart and mind are disconnected. Holding of the breath. We always hold our breath when we're at odds with what is. Holding breath. Lack of expression. Won't even ask. Withholds asking. Hoards. Keeps closed. No singing or laughing. Irresponsible. So physical silence, emotionally unsafe, mental, no fluency of thought, and spiritually dependent. The healthy throat is the responsible communicator. So clear communication, able to manifest, self-expression, responsibility, able to breathe. I ask, I speak up, I sing, I laugh. Physical communication, emotional safety, mental fluency of thought, and spiritual independence. So, the unhealthy third eye, the intellectual, lacks intuition, irrational, no insight, just sees the small picture, guesses, extrapolates, doesn't really know, constructs things, can't see the truth, unwise, gives a false front. Physical, can't dream, mimics, just copies. Emotional confusion, clouded, mentally disordered and busy, and spiritually unsettled. But the healthy third eye I call the intuitive. So we have our intuition, we're rational, we have insight, and we can see the big picture. We have knowing. We can fully inhabit ourself. We can access our wisdom and give out our true front and be honest. Physically, it's dreaming and authenticity, emotional clarity, mental order, and spiritual, it would be meditation. The unhealthy crown I call the egoist. And I found this painting which is called The Egoist, so it worked out. Unaware of spiritual self. Outer looking for wisdom, always looking outside for wisdom instead of in here. A holding on. Conniving. Fear of failure. Power is needed and it's lusted after. Very distrusting of the world. Because really, you don't have to trust the world, you just have to trust yourself to handle what comes, right? So physically very static, emotional, a lot of doingness, not a lot of beingness. Mentally represses their own consciousness, and spiritual isolation. But the healthy crown is the true spiritual self. So spiritual awareness, inner wisdom, the ability to release and let go of the past even. Trusting in the higher powers, trusting in the universe and God. Using your power well, not chasing power. Trusting yourself and not the world. So that's the physical flowing, emotional being, mental, the universal consciousness, and spiritually we have unity via transcendental consciousness. So we're connecting with everything. So those are the archetypes of each chakra. So again, any questions there? Do you need another break? Are you okay to continue? What do we have next? Sound. So, is anybody familiar with cymatics and the concept of sound creating form? A few of you are? Okay, well sound, which comes from our throat, the first phase of manifestation actually makes geometric form. So, cymatics is the sound of that. And again, with our ancient text, quote John 1:1, first was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So again, manifesting comes from the throat, the sounds that we're making. Are they beautiful? Are they ugly? We don't want to swear into a microphone, all that kind of stuff. This is talcum powder with a sound through it, and that's a crop formation. I used to be with the Canadian Crop Circle Research people. We did that for a while. It got a little polluted because a lot of people fake crop formations, but there was a real phenomena, just so you know about that. So I think some of the real crop formations may have been made with sound. So that's why I include that there. That's a two-dimensional shape, but it may have been a three-dimensional sound form that went through the field. This is talcum powder, and it has a star in it as well from some of the experiments that Hans Jenny created in the past with his experiments. And he has a book called Cymatics, just plain old Cymatics by Hans Jenny. The first guy that worked with this was Ernst Chladni, and his work with sound led to the science of acoustics. So what he did is he put like talcum powder on a metal round plate and drew a violin bow across it, and it made geometrical forms. So these forms down here are all Chladni forms that he made. And this other Mydale Sask September 6th is a crop formation that came, and I thought that this one aspect of the crop formation was similar to a Chladni form. The first vocal cymatic forms were by Margaret Watt Hughes, and she made all these forms here with her voice. And I got this from Freddie Silva's book, Secrets in the Fields. And the one crop circle on the bottom I thought was quite interesting. It was quite similar to one of the creations that she made. I also have more pictures of her voice forms, and one of them was actually at like a head of wheat or a fern or something. So the patterns in nature, on the back of a turtle, everywhere, are really probably created by sound. low ultrasound or something like that. So thinking about God creating with sound or the universe creating with sound is pretty apropos. So there's Dr. Hans Jenny with his tonoscope. So the vowel sound A made that shape. His tonoscope allowed the human voice to be seen in form. And he found that pleasant sounds created pleasant forms and unharmonious sounds created unharmonious forms. So always be making a joyful noise unto the Lord. Speak beautiful words and paint harmony. Again, we're contributing, we're not contaminating. These are somatic forms in water. And there's a quote here from Liahu Wang. Every separate thought takes shape and becomes visible in color and form. So be aware of the sounds that you're making. Now, this was something that was kind of interesting to me. I got a thesis by Ian Brace from Courtney Milne, who's passed away now. He was a famous photographer from Saskatchewan. I don't know if you guys know him, but he was really into learning and mysterious things, and he called me out to his house one day. He's like, Beata, I really want to know more about crop circles, but I'm afraid it would consume me. But I've been told to give you this thesis by Ian Brace. And Ian Brace had gone across North America and sketched out all the medicine wheels and the ancient stone formations that the people had left. So this on the bottom here are the stone formations. These up here are the sound forms from Chladni. So what I'm suggesting is, I think some of these ancient medicine wheels and such that aren't aligned to stars or whatever were actually sound temples. I mean, especially when you look at some of these ones, these are sound. These are the rock formations. So I just wondered if some of these ancient people were using sound in their ceremony. So I just wanted to share that. So, gosh, this is the slide that didn't go forward last time. But anyways, does anybody know about Dr. Emoto and his messages from water? Good. Well, your body is like, 70% water. So any sound that you're making with your voice, that's medicine for your own body. I could maybe Om into your body, but if you do it, your voice is specific for your biology. So it creates a hado, an intrinsic vibrational pattern in the atomic level in all matter, the smallest unit of energy. And its basis is the energy of human consciousness. Hado creates words. Words are the vibration of nature. So beautiful words create beautiful nature, and ugly words create ugly nature. This is the root of the universe. And we move to the next slide. Good. So 500 people sent the hado of love to this water. And then this water was labeled, only labeled. Even words written on a bottle will make that water change with, "You make me sick." So what Dr. Emoto did is he would get the intention into the water with a label or with human intention, and then freeze a drop of water of that water really quickly, and then look under the microscope and take a picture. So we're looking at if the water can crystallize or not. This water couldn't do it. It was sick. This water is lake water before and after a Buddhist healing. And this card was the word hope. And I thought it was beautiful because it looks just like this crop formation from Red Deer in 2001. But it's amazing how just using, again, one of your sacred tools, blessing, and look how you can change water just with your intention. There's another thing called the rice experiment. I don't know if you guys know about this one. It's fun to do with kids. So you get 3 jars of white rice and you just label them and see what happens. And sure enough, the hate rice is rotting. The love rice is fresh. The nothing is just nothing. It's going a little yellow. I thought it was interesting, and I only saw before with love and hate. I didn't see the nothing. So it was interesting. So Dr. Gary Rhines studied with tissue samples, so actual DNA. And DNA showed projection of emotional energy as hate would unwind or kill the DNA. So if I'm holding some tissue and I'm going to hate that tissue, it would actually damage the DNA. But then if we went back and loved that tissue, it would actually heal the DNA. So it's okay. Any damage can always be undone with the frequency of compassion and love. And it's been proved by science. So there you go. So what can we do at this time for optimum positive results in our lives and the lives of others? How can we get to know ourselves and value ourselves and be consciously responsible for ourselves rather than unconsciously reactive? Well, it's what we're doing today. We're learning new information. We're here to meet each other and to lay down and see what Spirit has for us and get to know what's going on inside ourselves. Because I'm not you, you're not me. We might share a little of the same mind, but your spirit walk, your shamanic journey is very unique to you, and it's valid, and it's important. You are an important contribution to humanity. Nobody is useless or shouldn't be here. So that means we need to take our inner journey, which is our shamanic journeying. This is another thing I use for people, the vowel sounds for each chakra. So if you come to see me for sound healing, I will get you to use your own voice with these vowel sounds. I use the Holy Harmony tuning forks to do it. You can also do it with the C scale on the piano. So we start with the the oo, the o, the ah, the I, the e, and the om. And your own voice is what heals you. So like I say, I can om into you with a didgeridoo and all that kind of stuff, and that's all great. But really you want to affect your own water in your own body, use these vowel sounds, the C scale, it's an inhale, and an exhale making the sound. And you can do it 3 times each, you can do it 7 times each, once. And there's actually a great app for your phone by Jonathan Goldman called the Chakra Tuner. And you can have it on your phone and you can just do a 7-minute chakra tune-up, and it's a similar type of thing. I did a course with him, and that's where I learned about that. So that's Jonathan Goldman Chakra Tuner, and I think it's like $3 or something. So the Om is symbolized by the Omkar, which is all over my cloth here, and it's right here in the middle, and it's broken up into the conscious, the awakened state, deep sleep, and the dream state. Now, when Hans Jenny used this, the cymoscope, or cymatoscope, or whatever it is, tonoscope, he put Om through it. And I thought, well, what shape would Om make? And I thought maybe it would make the Omkar. But no, it makes the Sri Yantra. The Sri Yantra is the geometric, the cymatic of Om. And it represents the divine, contains all the other yantras, which is something you focus on to meditate. It's a geometrical pattern that you look at to meditate. And it's called the wheel of the Mother Goddess. Now, interestingly enough, this shape was actually found in a wilderness lake bed, kind of like a crop circle. So weird, in 1990. It's like someone ohmed into the earth. So it was in this dry wilderness lake bed east of the Steen Mountains. It consisted of 13.3 miles of lines, each 10 inches wide and scored to 3 inches in the hard pan earth. And none of the dirt was found. And it was huge. I don't know if you can see these 2 little people just right there. But somebody ohmed into the earth. So I just wanted to tell you about that. Om is the primordial throb of the universe. It is the sound form of Atma, or consciousness. So Om can be chanted by feeling the resonance of the Ah in the abdomen, then up to the Oo to the chest, and finally the in the head. So it's Om. So that's why we do it at the end. So then you're reactivating the whole chakra system, or you just do an Om and it's everything, hits everything. But after you say that Om, we have to have the silence, which symbolizes that which is above the head, beyond thinking, the ineffable, the spirit, or consciousness. So always have that silence after you chant the Om. So again, the conscious, the subconscious, and the unconscious, and the silence afterwards. So, again, what is your shamanic journey? Your life, conscious living, birth to death, wake to sleep, personal experience, sacred responsibility. We're going to contribute and not contaminate. Our individual connection to divine universal intelligence, and always remembering that it is our right and our duty to be here now. So we're not living in the future, we're not living in the past, we're in the present. We're here now. So it's always now, and now, and now, and now. And if your mind starts to wander, bring it back. So your sacred gift to everyone else is your authenticity that you're going to model. and your ability to consciously inhabit your spiritual body. And it does take practice. If you've been looping down with emotions and over-intellectualization, it takes time to let yourself off the hook and feel enough compassion and love for yourself to let go of those lower things that don't serve you anymore, that might have started for one reason and continued for another, and now you don't need that program anymore. So 3 simple tools to explore today. We talked about it before: the love gratitude, seeing in truth, blessing and energy. So as you go from here today, or as you have your reflection time, think about when you can use those tools. When can you use love and gratitude? When can you use seeing in truth? When can you use blessing and energy? And just see how much of that you can integrate into your life. And again, we're creating respect for your way. So if you don't agree with what I'm telling you, that's great. But have respect for your own way. And if it's not making you healthy, try my way. No, I'm just kidding. Just honor your own path is what I'm trying to say, right? There's no mistakes, only wisdom opportunity, wisdom collection opportunity. Now, I'm a Jakitan Reiki practitioner, and we have a little prayer that we say at the top. We say it in Japanese, but in English, it's just for today. I will not anger. I will not worry. I will be grateful. I will do my duties faithfully, and I will be kind to others. And I say this at night, and I try to imagine me doing those things, and then I realize these are the only things you need to think about. These are the only tools you need, the only instructions you need. Don't be angry, don't worry, be grateful, do your duties faithfully, and be kind. So, create a healthy vibe for yourself. Jade always says, mind your own vibration. It's really important to mind your own vibration so you're not in judgment and you're not in drama and you're not in manipulation. So we're going to think about personal awareness, gratitude, responsibility, healing sound and toning, processing our concepts fully, because we can stop that at any point, that information. We can stop it, but we want to process it fully. We want to eat more plant-based food probably. We want to meditate, inviting the light in, and then hopefully we can create healthy relationships, starting with the relationship we have with ourselves and how we feel about ourselves. Are we at ease? Are we at peace when we're alone? So back to the armor of God. So spiritual immune system, that's what this is all about. So you have your helmet of salvation, your knowledge, your breastplate of righteousness, love, your belt of truth, honesty, your sword of spirit, which is the word of God or the word of spirit, shield of faith, which is your confidence, your feet of peace, standing in your authenticity, and praying always, which is making beautiful sound. So keep your robes clean. In Revelation 7:9, it says, after this I looked, and there was before me a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, tribe, and people, and language, standing before the throne and in front of the Lamb. And they were wearing white robes. White is all the colors, right? White robes, and they were holding palm branches in their hands, which is to me all your branches that you have to connect out into the universe. These are they who have come out of the great tribulation. That's where we are now, getting out from under the global adversary. These are those who have come out of the great tribulation. They have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. To me, the Lamb is just Aries. Springtime. But anyway, blessed are those who wash their robes, that they might have the right to the tree of life and may go through the gates into the city. Remember, the narrow gate is the love. And that's where we want to enter. So again, there's me in front of Stonehenge. G, you are you. So shamanic path is about relationship, not worship. So today we're going to move forward into new realms and mold our environment with the best of our imagination. So we're always going to be keeping our thoughts, observing our thoughts. Oh, is that my thought? Oh, maybe that's my grandma's thought. Oh, maybe that's a thought I got from the television. Oh, maybe that's a thought I got from my third grade teacher. So we're always observing our thoughts. And we are very powerful. So I want you to be I'm thanking you for being here. I'm grateful for you being here today. And I hope you have some questions. If you don't, you might later. Feel free to email me. I gave you a lot of information today. So go back to my blog. I've written about a lot of these things fuller in full blogs at tinfoilhatlady.com, and you can watch my videos at youtube.com/tinfoilhatlady, or write to me at tinfoilhatlady@gmail.com. There's all that information right there. The holy human. So I've given you a description of how you function, how you can function in health and how you can function in unhealth with those archetypes of the chakras. And where we are right now is 10 minutes to 2. So we're kind of in our lunch break. So what we'll do right now is we'll take our lunch break, and feel free to play with the dowsing tools and the bowls over there if you want. But first you probably want to eat and just relax, because I took you on a ride. Thank you very much.